My name is Ola. This is the house where I'm living. Since this picture is a couple of years ago, the pine that is just placed outside the house is away. That's because I was trained as a forest worker. So I have a chainsaw. So it's not longer a tree on that place. But I'm planting some new things there. I've also been working in forestry business my whole life. But I also have studied innovation management at the University of Karlstad, just to try to understand what I'm actually working with at the moment. But when I start focusing on our house where I live together with my wife and our cat, we have 2 kids, but they have moved away. I start with this house because it's about resources. The house is built of timber that is used for the 3rd time. What is actually resources in the bioeconomy? This house timber was first a barn built in the late 1700. Then my wife's grandfather built a house of it early in the 1900s, and then we have moved it to the 3rd place. Hopefully, somebody will move it to the 4th place. And this is about taking care of the resources, I think. This is some sort of circular economy. The timber is so old that there was no sawmill in the area, so it's cut by axes. So taking care of resources, I think we have to reinvent, because the modern way of building, it's impossible to take care of resources in this way. I'm a founder. I've been the chairman of the board, but since 2002 I have also been the CEO for this consultants company. We have one mission, and that is to make the innovation processes more efficient for businesses, mainly in the forestry business, but also in other sustainable and renewable businesses. Runa mentioned that we are a competence broker. That's helping people that have an idea, or maybe even a problem, to pass this pink sky to get an innovation, and try to help them finding the knowledge to get there. So that's actually what we are mostly working with. We are talking with people, trying to help them to find competence, but also find funding to create something new. We have been into several processes about establishing networks and clusters. And I have been into this business so long that we started with the triple helix. And now this is the more modern way for cluster management, to think in the 5 corners. But anyway, I think if you go to this in practice, because I think we need to go to the practical way of doing it. It's about Tretorget. Probably quite many of you know about the circle PDCA for continuous improvement. Plan, do, check, act. 4 arrows put together. But untap is also about the thing that you can find in our logo. It's about people. You have also to give people the possibility to release the energy inside themselves. So it's both about system, but it's also about letting people do what they are good at and give them the possibilities. So for me, it's to have respect for each individual people and try to help them as best we can. But doing this, it's a lot of things. This is not rocket science, I must say. Some try to make it like rocket science, but helping people is not very rocket science. It's trying to lubricate the processes between people. It's many ways to translate, because the three corners here, the public authorities, the industry and science, have different languages. You have to translate it so they can understand each other. So it's some sort of translating, being in the middle. You have to open doors. Tretorget actually started as an innovation house, but we very quickly found out that what the businesses was interested in was visiting each other, not coming to us, but coming to each other to see how business was done in the neighborhood. And I was actually very amazed that people hadn't visited each other before. Hopefully that's not only a question in Norway. I think it's more common than that you think of. So just getting people to get in contact, to meet each other, and even to get inside the university, have some meetings there, force them to come there. Probably not force them, but some way to make them able to come there. That's the good thing. Building bridges between cultures, between businesses. As you said earlier today, it's a lot of things that are created at the edge of one business, meeting another business. There's where you can find most innovations. You have to establish arenas where people can meet, like this one. Make people talk together. That means long lunches, giving people time to talk. Finding the resources so that competence so they can do what they actually want to do. And you have to visualize the results and trying to build some sort of common image in order to realize a shared vision. So this is what I think is helping innovation to facilitate what it is in practice. I put together some sort of model for this. It's about two things. Being rooted, as I started with this house. I'm proud to be a country boy. I'm really proud of it. It gives deep insight because I'm a part of a culture. But the other thing I have to be open about is to try to find new ideas. So therefore, it's about both the local buzz, people meeting locally, trying to help each other, but it's also to bringing in ideas from the rest of the world to build these global pipelines. So one of the main purposes for us to be here and be elsewhere is just to find ideas, pick up ideas and bring them back home and test them for the businesses. Could you do something like this? Could it improve yourself and other things? Stimulate these global pipelines. And having ID triggering actions, ID supporting actions, and reducing the barriers of innovation. For there are quite a lot of barriers for innovations. Some more experiences from the clustering and networking processes. It's about the context, routing. I say you need to understand where you are for trying to develop a business system and try to help innovation. You need to know precisely where you are. I always try to be as honest as possible with people, just to say that please steal my ideas of a good practice and other things, but be careful that you should put it into your own context. Imitate, not copy. You have to find your own way. And that's also the situation in this region. You have to find your own way, in your own context, with your own resources, your own people. This picture is from the eastern part of San Francisco Bay. If you go on the top of these Kyoto hills that originally was for the Indians, the natives in the United States. If you go on top of this and look to the north, you see San Francisco City in the smog. You can see Golden Bridge and San Francisco City. Two of top 100 universities in the United States are up there in San Francisco City. On your right-hand side, you can see the brick walls from Berkeley. And on the other side of the bay, you can see Stanford, the yellow buildings from Stanford, where Google and Facebook have their own campuses. So that's Silicon Valley. And if you have a good guide, that I luckily had to go when I went up there, he says in the southern end of this bay, it's another university that is also top 100. This is actually what we are competing with. The competition is global. Some of the models about cluster and cluster theories are made in this area, where you can see 5, or you can in a way think about 5 universities going up on a small hill, 60, 70 meters above sea level. You can see this. It's more people in this area than it's in Norway in total. This is actually what we are competing with. So we have to cooperate locally. The competition is global, not local. One of the strangest things, both for all of us, is to try to select the best ideas. I think many of the best ideas are killed inside the businesses. That's one of the questions why big businesses have so much trouble to make innovations. Many of the innovations are made in the SMEs. They come from the startups, from SMEs. The ideas in the big businesses are killed inside the offices. The CEO kills the ideas, or the whole system kills the ideas. Selecting ideas, to be open-minded about how you actually select the best ideas. This is not a personal subject. We are a gift to each other if we bring more people into these processes. This is not for single people to decide what is a good idea. You need to have a broad spectrum of people into these decisions. And when you're working with such processes, and luckily we are several people in Tretorget and cooperating with other companies that are also in the same business, you need to be more than one to create something. That's for startups, but it's also for those helping them. Something about the rural context. Yeah, I think you can see it's all green. Our office is up here. Evenstad is somewhere here. I'm living somewhere down here. And here we are in Karlstad in Sweden, and this is Oslo. I took this picture and brought it with me because when I meet politicals and other people engaged in making and creating new business, they say that it's a lot of forest here. I say it's not a lot of forest, or it is correct that it's a lot of forest. But the main thing is it's a lot of forestry here. It's a culture for forestry. That's the main thing. Then about the resources, the biomass is one thing, but the culture, the knowledge, the competence, the infrastructure, that's the main thing to build on for the new businesses, not only the resources, the biomass. It's important to have the biomass and to make it grow faster, better, and produce more wood, and produce it in a more sustainable way. But people, the culture, is the main thing. That's about the root to be rooted in what you are. So trying to establish a new business is very difficult if you don't have the culture to build on. You need some people, you need some infrastructure, other it's a lot of effort to go on. So in this area is a lot of people working with it, and then it's an important business. Another point that I will try to pick out that I've learned from this area is that, or a couple of things from this picture. It's a problem in this area that the girls leave after high school. They go to the central Oslo area, and there's a lot of boys left in the area. What do you think they are doing? They are driving fast with their cars. Very fast. And they're very clever with the cars. So this, there it is. We have the Swedish rally. It starts here in Karlstad and have one day in this area where I'm living. I'm not very fascinated about rally, but the main thing here is what is actually a problem could also be a possibility. These guys with the fast cars, this is the area where you can find the drivers, the mechanics, and those developing the cars. They are the innovators in this business. They are locally, deep in the forest, because they are very interested in it. So what could be a problem could also be a possibility. Another thing about these things, visiting urban areas, you often see maker space. This area is full of maker space. In the garage of the neighbors, in the barns of the things. It's easy to prototype something. I'll just ask your neighbor. He can probably help you with a lot of things. So competence is not only about formal competence, it's also be able to do to create the new things. Yeah, we can leave Evenstad and then go to the RDA to Club project. When we are trying to help businesses for innovation, we are into an area that are scarce with resources. You have to say that. So trying to help them, often we have to find the resources in other areas. So in the project RDA to Club, we are trying to find other areas that are in the same situation and making some sort of virtual hub that we can connect each other and get resources to the innovators easier. And you can learn more about the service path and the service way that we actually are doing it in the project. We are going to discuss more tomorrow. But some cases about innovation. This is the first start of what I think can be a very big business in Norway. As you know, paper is not a product that is very important for the future, probably. Packaging is, but not reading paper. Reading papers is the core business for Norwegian pulp industry, pulp and paper industry. Here are some guys from our area that have found out that probably the same fiber could be used to make boards. Something like this. And they are now discussing to build a build plant for producing this. Fiber that formerly has been made to newspapers and magazines can also be produced to other things. And I've quoted Schumpeter, explained by Pavitt, innovation is some sort of act of will. It has been a long way, but they are very close to startup. Some more examples from the local area. Even if you are counted as a rather not very high-tech business. You are more in the low-tech. The low-tech businesses is very big users of high-tech solutions. So here is a firm called Feldkis that has invented this green box and also an app, so you can bring your production with you and forward it to those interested in the results from today's production, even though you can't find the Wi-Fi out in the forest. Many places in Norway you can attach you can call back home and you can't listen to the radio because you're so far away. This is a solution that is needed. Something similar I saw on the second floor here, building system. This is a very experienced builder that is building new block houses in a new way with insulation, so they can reach the new demands for energy efficiency. This is actually in the middle of nowhere, up in the north of our county, that is production. Very skilled man and skilled group of men together. But also, as Runa said, a lot of innovations is also, of course, from the bigger businesses. This is the world's tallest wooden building called Mjøstårnet, 85 meters height, 8 floors. Originally, some sort of bridge put top down. The competency is building bridges. Now they have just raised it up and made a construction of it. And a fascinating other thing is the way to have the building skin on it. It's elements produced in 3 or 4 floors at the same time. We have talked about exchanging experiences and also competence between countries. Not far away from here, we have been luckily to help and discuss with the municipality in Lajoa about the Sala Library and Innovation Center. It's a lot of energy, Norwegian solutions into that building due to cooperation. So we have some experience to cooperate with you, and we are looking actually very much forward to cooperate more. Yeah. Thank you.
It even didn't make a sound yet. Thank you, Ola.